will make absolutely no sense if you didn't watch part one this morning. All right. So if you didn't watch part one this morning, then you just missed out. You're just gonna have to watch it, and watch it as fast as you can, because I'm definitely deleting it. All right. So this topic that we're having right now, I'm gonna leave this up for a couple of hours, and then it just goes bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? Goes bye-bye. All right. So you need to make sure. You need to make sure that you go watch it before I send that thing back to the abyss, never to come back again. Okay, so we're gonna take some live calls. I'm gonna take some live calls in a little bit. I'll put the number on the screen in a few moments. You could call in. We're not praying for people right now. We're not doing deliverance. I just want to hear your thoughts about this particular topic. All right. So let me say that again. When I open the phone lines for you to call, no deliverance, no prayer. We'll do that on another broadcast. I want to stay on topic, and I want to hear your thoughts concerning this vaccine. All right. So in all fairness, let me just first say this. All right. Let me say this. And I'm in the chat room, everyone, so I can actually see your comments. I can see your comments. So feel free to just share your thoughts. Number one thing, let me say this. This is a non-salvation topic. Don't nobody break out in a rash. All right? Don't nobody break out in a rash. Ain't nobody going to hell over this topic. This falls under eschatology. If someone goes to hell, it's because they died in unrepentant sin, hasn't accepted the finished work of Christ on the cross, and has been living a double life. God ain't sending nobody to hell for no vaccine. Like that, I'm just gonna go there with that one. All right. Now I would say this: where your heart is, as concerning some of the other stuff, you might end up in hell. All right. So this is we're just dialoguing and breaking bread, y'all. We're dialoguing and breaking bread. All right. All right. So just kind of calm down. Everybody write it in the chat room. Calm down. Just write it in caps. Calm down. Some of y'all got to get delivered from this abandonment. Like, I got to show God I ain't shook. He knows your heart. You don't have to prove anything to him. When that time comes for you to rep that Jesus and die for him, you will know. You will know. And many of you, you're going to rep that cross, and you're going to die for his name's sake, and many of you will become martyrs. All right? So just kind of, standing for your beliefs on the internet is not a martyr. You're not being a martyr. You're just being opinionated. All right? It doesn't, Jesus ain't in the heavens talking about, oh, you rep that on Facebook. Enter into the joy of the Lord because you've repped me on Facebook, social media. But calm down, baby. Calm down. Calm down from that stuff. We're just talking. And the reason why I have to say this is because I read some of the comments on the first broadcast. And I think God literally didn't let me see some of y'all comments because I couldn't see the comments for some reason. When I went back to read it, I was like, Lord, I thank you that you didn't let me see this, because I would have blasted some of y'all, like, for real. Like, and I think the Lord literally was like, you know what, son, I'm just not going to let you see this today. I don't want you spazzing out. Glory. All right. Let me say this. Let's jump into this thing. All right. I've been saved since 1992. And I have to bring this up because I know that our ministry caters a lot to millennials. So sometimes people assume that what they think that I am, I'm a Generation X guy. I'm literally on my way to become 50. I'm not far. Like, I'm in that path. I'm in middle age stuff. I've been saved since the early 90s. So my mindset is very different. I don't have a millennial mindset. I'm a Generation X guy. Some of the stuff that that bothers this generation. This stuff don't bother me, man. I'll be looking at y'all like, y'all mad about that? Like, okay. You know, very different. So my mindset is very, 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 very different. All right. And I have been in the gospel more than 30 years. Let me say that again. I've been in the gospel saved more than 30 years. 30 years, 30. More than some of you that have been born on this earth. I've been saved 30 years. I think I'm already going on 33 years saved. So, and if there's one thing that I have seen, now make sure you share this on your timeline. Come on, let's pack this out. One thing that I have seen that many of you have not seen because you're young is that the church is trendy. Every 5 years, we demonize something and we put it on the list of Antichrist or the New World Order or the Illuminati. Every 5 years. And I'm going to name some stuff. You know what I'm saying? And many of you are going to be like, I didn't know that. But I've been around long enough to know that the body of Christ, we are trendy, which means every 5 or so years we demonize something, and some stuff should be demonized. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, but let me say something, and this is gonna rock you the wrong way. More than 95% of the stuff that we've demonized as a church, we've been wrong. Listen. The church has been wrong so many times. We just come out of being wrong. Almost every election, we wrong. Almost every election, we've been wrong. Don't get mad. I'm going to call it for what it is because I'm going to say what you've been thinking about. I'm not talking about what others are not talking about. That's baby stuff. I want to say what you've been thinking about. We've been wrong almost all the time. The church has been wrong almost all the time since the early 90s. As a matter of fact, we've been wrong all the way back until Nero, Emperor Nero, the church, our beloved church. We were calling Nero the Antichrist. The church in Thessalonica, where we get the second book and first book of Thessalonians. The church in Thessalonians thought they missed the rapture because they genuinely were preaching and believing that the emperor of Rome was the Antichrist because of the persecution. And Paul had to write to them and say, we didn't miss the rapture because I'm still here. And the man of sin has not been revealed. Listen, and you know what's crazy about the church? We don't own up to our wrongness. We just disappear. Haven't you noticed that all our evangelicals, they've disappeared now that there's a new administration? They went back to church. Nobody talking about politics now. We are some running from taking personal accountability for our wrongness, people, more than any other organization on the face of this earth. We just walk away when we're wrong. Did you catch what I just said? Now everybody's quiet. Nobody talking about last year it was politics. Now it's quiet in these Christian streets. It's quiet in these Christian streets. Baby, own it. We wrong. We be wrong sometimes. We just be wrong. And let me tell you something. I've been old enough. I am old enough to tell you that this is nothing new. This is nothing new. This is nothing new. Now, let me remind everyone that we're going to be opening up the phone lines in a few. We're going to be opening up the phone lines in a few. I want to hear your thoughts on it. And you don't even have to be Christian to call the phone lines. All right? You don't even have to be Christian to call the phone lines. I want to hear your thoughts. Now watch this. I am old enough to remember when the whole country went on a campaign anti-government, when it became a law that you had to wear seatbelts. I am old enough to remember when they enforced buckle up, it's the law. I was alive for that. Listen, let me say this again. I was alive when they made the law and the slogan, buckle up, it's the law. And the whole country said that was the Antichrist. That's the New World Order. I remember those days. Buckle up, it's the law. Because prior to that, listen to what I'm saying. Prior to that, you didn't have to wear a seatbelt. You didn't have to wear a seatbelt. Listen, I was around long enough that there was no parking regulations. And those of you in the inner cities, in New York, I remember when there was no parking regulations. You parked whichever way you wanted to. And there was no regulations even to which side. Used to be, people could park their cars the opposite direction. There was no one-way streets when it came to parking. That's how I remember those days. I remember those days. Like now you have to park your cars all facing the same direction. Back in the days, there was none of that. There'll be 3 cars facing left and one of them in the middle facing the opposite. Listen. I've been around long enough to tell you. Now, many of you that are watching me, if you're like, wow, that must be a long time ago. I was alive for that. And then the government said, buckle up is the law. Is the law. And let me tell you something. They were having, I remember, on the government Capitol building briefings about seatbelts, because folks were on that with picket signs. Don't control us. Don't control us. Antichrist. I was there for that. And those of you that have been around a long time, say something in the chat room when you remember those days. Look at someone in the chat room. Betty is saying, I remember that so clear. And watch this. You want to know who was behind? Well, not the seatbelt situation, but let me tell you something. The church, the Christian church, fundamental Christian church, fundamental Orthodox Christian church is modern evangelicalism. Let me say this, and I'm part of modern evangelicalism. I'm evangelical. We are the biggest cancel culture in the country. We invented it. Woo! You're not ready for me? The church, we invented cancel culture because we have been demonizing everything. Every 5 to 6 years, we demonize something. Let me say it again. The world learns that from us. You want to know why? Because 50 to 60 years ago, the evangelical church, we were the strongest organization in the country. And whatever, this is why, if you wanted to win anything, get that evangelical vote. Did you catch what I just said? Honor to the man of God, the real general of deliverance in the chat room, Apostle Ivory Hopkins. I'm a lieutenant of deliverance, maybe even a soldier of deliverance. But that man of God that's in the chat room now, Apostle Ivory Hopkins, he is the real general of deliverance. And I just want to honor Uncle Ivory out there because he's all of our uncle. All right, love you, sir. Love you, man of God. Listen, everyone. Make sure you go follow his page. He is consistently one of the longest ministries of deliverance on social media, longer than any of us. We've all learned from him. So guys, go honor him and watch him and follow his Facebook page. Listen to me, everyone. Love you, sir. Watch this. And then 5 or 6 or 7 years later, 5 to 6 to 7 years later, the country went on a trend and we started demonizing this right here. Listen to me, right here. Listen, see this right here? This is new, guys. This is not even 30 years old, this right here. This right here is not 30 years old. Let me tell you something. When the barcode came out, the barcode, SKU numbers, God is my witness, the Christian church, the prophetic Christian church, prophetic, meaning the prophetic movement at the time, the Christian church, I was alive for that. I was saved. Now, when the seatbelt was being campaigned against, I wasn't Christian. My family wasn't Christian. Well, some of my family members were Christian. But when the barcode came right here, you guys don't know this because some of y'all are new. You know, for some of us that have been around a long time, the Christian church, tongue talking, baptized, Holy Ghost, Idobo, Shandayan, dancing in the church, evangelicals, and we're evangelicals, so I can speak about my own. They demonized barcode, saying it was the devil and it was the Antichrist. It was the Antichrist. And there was a campaign to buy no products that had bar numbers and SKU numbers. Pastors were blasting from the pulpit, Antichrist. Shall I go further? And then they switched it. And they went from New World Order Illuminati to the Antichrist is living among us. And they said the Pope was the Antichrist. They demonized Pope John Paul and said Antichrist, the office of the Pope, is the Antichrist. They even had Christian comic books, chick tracts. I used to read them. I still recommend Christians to read them and use them as tools for evangelism. Chick tracts. Whole sermons on the Pope is the Antichrist. And the Christian church went on a campaign against the Pope and against the Catholic Church and saying they're Antichrist, you know, and then went against the modern ecumenical movement and began to say Antichrist, Antichrist, Antichrist. This is a true story. Even I got caught up with that one because I was a new Christian. Even I, when I first got saved, I was like, the Pope is the Antichrist. He is the living embodiment of the Antichrist. Did you catch what I just said? Did you catch what I just said? Listen, y'all. Listen to what I'm saying. See, y'all don't know this because some of y'all are young. You young. Nothing wrong with being young. You guys are amazing. You're going to be better and go further than us, Generation X. Let me just say this so that no one thinks it's a millennial thing, because we got Generation X people just as filled with conspiracy as everyone else. Let me tell you, millennial generation, you have an advantage that we didn't have. You guys have resources and information. You are going to be better, go further than us, and you guys are going to outlast us. I'm cheering for you guys on the sidelines. But the Pope was the Antichrist. Watch this. Watch this. And then they turned their eyes from the Pope to the presidency and its relation to foreign affairs. So watch this. You might not remember this, some of you. Saddam Hussein was the Antichrist. A bunch of evangelicals went on that Saddam Hussein was the Antichrist because he's from Iraq and Babylon. He is the living embodiment of Nimrod. You're not ready for this, man. Listen, the church started condemning Saddam Hussein as the Antichrist. Listen, I'm giving you a history. Did you catch it? And then it changed from Saddam Hussein to President George Bush Sr. So they started taking their eyes off of Saddam Hussein and then put it on the Kuwait War. And by that time, I was already in jail, in a juvenile jail. I was already getting locked up. But I remember that. I remember the Kuwait War. I was in prison already. And they went into saying that President George Bush Sr. is Illuminati. And he might be. He might be. Not questioning that part. We're talking about the Antichrist, the mark of the beast and the Antichrist. And they went on to say, this true story, books, literal books, Christian material, resources were made in anti-President Bush Sr., Antichrist. And then it flipped. Watch this. I'm going to tell you. And then it flipped. President Bill Clinton and Hillary was Jezebel and Ahab. Was President Bill Clinton and Hillary was Jezebel and Ahab. And then it turned again because evangelicals love to back away from politics when it's blue. So they just stay quiet. So you didn't hear much from the evangelicals during that season. But then, watch this. When Obama came, I was there for that. The church started calling him Abomination. A word play on abomination with Abomination. Antichrist. And then things started changing. Internet got involved. Your voice can now be traveled through this new thing called the internet. When I first started pastoring and when I first got married, there was no internet. There was no computers like that. Us poor folk, we couldn't even afford a computer. We had, we were dealing with pagers and big prepaid cell phones that were like this big, the size of a banana. And the size of a squash. Big cell phone. Prepaid. Telling people I'll call you back because I don't want to miss my minutes. Did you catch that? And then it started changing from, okay, we're looking foolish with the election stuff. And then it switched. And we started demonizing things. Harry Potter, and that should be demonized. I'm not saying that shouldn't be demonized. But look at this. We started demonizing anything that went against our fundamental belief system. It wasn't even if it was against Christianity. It was against what we stand for. That's what fundamentalism is. This means what you are against. So if you're not against what we are against, you are a heretic. So we started demonizing things that were not even biblically demonized. And in the things that we should have demonized, we stood quiet. Did you catch it? So we demonized a chip, but we stood quiet on racism. Don't play with me, y'all. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. We demonized. Let me keep going. And then a couple of years, we start on, let's cancel culture Netflix. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. That's a personal conviction. And then it went, listen to me. And then it started going to foods. Now Christians are demonizing Starbucks because of a logo. And it is an image of a false god. But baby, if we're going to go down that path of we're not going to support Starbucks because the image of their logo is, a fertility demon god, then baby, we're going to have to get rid of your car. Most of your cars have demonic symbols. Subarus are demonic symbols. You're going to have to get rid of Nike, Adidas. You can't wear Nike no more because Nike's a Greek goddess of victory. Baby, if we're going to go down that path, you're going to have to get rid of some of your keyboards in the church because many of those names of Korg and Motif, Yamaha, these are names of gods. Come on, y'all. We're going to go down that path. You're going to have to take off all that stuff. You're going to have to take that stuff out the church. You have to take that stuff out the church. Come on, don't play with me, man. You need to share this on your timeline. This is part 2 to part 1. Part 2 to part 1. We're going to have to stop wearing Nike, stop buying Subaru and Toyota. Did you catch it? We're going to have to get rid of all that stuff if we're going to go down that path. You know what I'm saying? Am I talking good? Say amen. All right. So what does this got to do with vaccines? Everything. Everything. Because I'm trying to show you a pattern. I'm trying to show you a pattern. A pattern. And the reason why many of you are like, well, what is he trying to say? Because I'm watching your comments. Some of y'all real quiet today because you're trying to see where I'm going to go with this. Because to all my heresy hunters, you are only watching to see whether I say take it or don't take the vaccine. Hi, heresy hunters. Hi. I've been dealing with you for 30 years. I can handle tough conversations like this. Pagani be the only one talking about stuff like this. Hi, heresy hunters. Hi. Did you catch it? And the rest of us fake church gangsters need to stand your ground. And if you repping that stuff, rep that stuff. Own it. Don't be on the double-sided fence. If you on that, I'm not taking the vaccine, own it. Rep your set. Rep it. And if you on that, I'm going to take it. Rep your set. Rep that thing. Because Romans chapter 14 says, let each one be persuaded in their own mind. Paul said that. Paul said that. Don't ride the fence with this thing today. Don't ride it. Don't ride it. Own it. Own it. Is it the mark of the beast or not? If you don't know if it's the mark of the beast, stop acting like it is. Stop acting like it is. Did you catch it? Rep your set. That's it. But hush your mouth on someone else's conscience. I said hush your mouth on someone else's conscience, whether they stand or fall to their own Lord. This is not a salvation issue. Get delivered. Get delivered. Get delivered. I'm not here defending it, and I'm not here saying don't take it. But what I am here to defend is hush your mouth about my conscience and the conscience of other believers. Because the information that you know, you also got it from the internet. Don't play with Pagani, man. For all of you woke, I studied mine, I got my information from various sources. You are also getting it from other finite human beings. None of you know whether your sources, let me say it again. None of you know whether your sources are real or not. You got it from someone else who got it from someone else. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know, even though you think you know. No, you don't know. No, you don't know. Because there are whole institutions that could be giving out lies. And you're going to sit here and say, well, I studied it. I studied it. I studied it. What if the whole system is a lie? You don't know. Only God knows. Only God knows. Only God knows. None of us know. None of us know. Not even me. Not even this message. Not even I know. I could be absolutely wrong in this. Nobody really knows, but the Spirit of God knows. The Spirit of the Lord knows. And only God knows. Did you catch it? Write it in the chat room. Only God knows. You don't know if it's the mark of the beast. And another thing, you don't know if it's a precursor to the mark of the beast. You don't know that. You don't know that you're doing nothing different than everyone else. Welcome. For those of you that say it's not the mark of the beast, but it's a precursor to it. You're doing nothing but what they did in the 1970s with the barcode. They said the same thing. It might not be the mark of the beast, but maybe it's a precursor to it. And 20 years later, this is the norm. As a matter of fact, this right here is paying my ministry because you couldn't get this book without this. And you better go get this book. It's a good book right here. Secrets to Deliverance. But you couldn't get this book that set you free. You actually got it because of this. Don't play with me, man. This thing is a double standard, y'all. This thing is a double standard. Because if this is the Antichrist, then Satan is casting out Satan. Because you couldn't get this book that delivered you, that helped you got delivered, if it wasn't for this. Come on, y'all. This thing is, come on, y'all. Come on.